Hello, everyone. Welcome to this weekly episode of URC Unloaded with me, Tom Shanklin, the Barclay and the Fezmeister General, and special guest. He's not so special anymore because he comes on most weeks now. Bobby Skinstad. Gentlemen, how are you?
Thanks.
Good, thanks.
Very good. Very good.
Who's been golfing this week? Put your hand up. Oh.
No golf.
No.
Tomorrow.
Busy week.
Are you boys playing together tomorrow? No. I'm playing in a causeway thing at Royal Portrush, so should be good fun now. It should be good.
Yeah,
where did you go, Bobby?
I'm playing on Friday.
Where are you going?
In Dublin.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Excited. We'd better get on with the show because we have someone waiting. Michael Robert Leighton Blair, former scrum half and now Edinburgh coach. Michael, how are you?
Very well, Tom. You guys all right?
Yeah, we're all fine. We're all fine. Give us your thoughts then, mate, on your season so far. We talked to you, I think, probably, it might have been the first show we did with URC Alert. And honestly, mate, we've adapted and we've come on so much. It's a proper slick operation now.
Yeah.
You probably noticed a difference.
Started with a bang with me, didn't you?
Yeah. That's the way to start, mate. Start big, otherwise you're not remembered. But how would you sum up your season?
We're pretty pleased. There's obviously been a bit of a year of transition in what we've been trying to do with the team, building on the foundations that we've had from previous seasons, but kind of adding an extra layer to that, getting the guys excited about the way we want to play, but getting the fans excited about watching us play as well. We had a really strong start to the season. A fair bit of that is probably down to how the fixture list fell, with us having a decent amount of home games to start. We had a tough period in the middle where we had, I think it was 5 out of 6 games were away from home and without our internationals playing. But you look at that period now, and I think that was really beneficial for us with the ability to bring some of our young Scottish players through, like Connor Boyle, Ben Muncaster, and finish the season with a bit of momentum. Stormers was always going to be a difficult opposition to play away from home in a quarter-final, and probably at the time it felt like a kind of fair result potentially. But watching the game back, I'm frustrated by it, and it was potentially a missed opportunity for us, I think.
Yeah, how difficult have you found going to South Africa and playing the South African teams?
I think the players will find it harder than the coaches. We enjoyed the sun, a little bit of sunbathing, an opportunity to freshen up. The other coaches played a fair bit of golf. I didn't get any time to do that. But the time after the Six Nations, when we were 10 days in Durban, then 4 days in Joburg. And it was absolutely brilliant. It was a real refresher for the squad, opportunity for, what do we have, 32 players we took out, opportunity for them to bond, to get to know each other. You know, time you spend together that wouldn't usually happen in the club environment on a tour. So we've loved it. Really hard games, really hard from a travel perspective, but great fun as well, and great for us to be playing in those kind of games.
Oh, you're on mute, Stevie.
Stevie, you're on mute, Ben.
We just
Schoolboy error. I was shouting at the missus, that's why. Mike, just on the travel, obviously Ulster away to Stormers this weekend. There's chat that they are having to travel separately, like so. The match day 23 are getting out there together. Some of the subs or extra bodies are coming on different flights, different management traveling different flights. Was it the same for you, or did you all travel together?
No, exactly that, Stevie. We went in four groups. So the majority of the 23 went out first with 2 or 3 members of staff. Then we had 6 or 7 players went with 10 staff, and then we had 3 players who went business class. The rest of us, well, it was quite good fun way of doing it actually. So we had a kind of a big reveal of the three. And so Grant Gilchrist got one because he's long, he's played a lot, and he's old. So he was a no-brainer. Emiliano Buffelli, we announced him as the second one, but I announced him as having to be the one because he's got it in his contract that he only flies first class. And it was good value, actually, because he was laughing along and he had no idea what I just said. His English still isn't quite there. He's like, yes,
Matt, yes.
But he was probably more on medical grounds. He's got sciatica stuff and nerve stuff that he needs to stretch the legs out. And then VP Nell was the last one because he's VP Nell. I did tell him after two, I said, and obviously I'm the third one in business class. And everyone's like, and I was like, no, I am. That's the end of the meeting, guys. We'll catch you tomorrow. And there's a big kind of pause. But no, I was on the worst flight available. We were 9 hours in Dubai, flying into Newcastle, and then 3 hours on the bus back up from Newcastle, where everyone was car sick. So 34 hours travel back, which was great.
Oh, ideal. Mike, just on the evolution of Edinburgh, is pretty clear. I mean, we sort of spoke in comms at the weekend about, and I just wanted your opinion on it. How long do you think it takes to create your own squad? Because ultimately, you've inherited this squad, given the timing of you taking the role. So, you've signed Goose, you signed Sam Skinner for next year. How long do you think it takes to make this your squad, probably, is what I'm asking.
I'll tell you, depending on how successful we are. I can still blame it on other people at this stage, but I guess a couple of years down the line, it's harder to do. We do have a fair amount of players who are on the higher pay grade, who are locked in long-term contracts. So in terms of the ability for us to change a squad around a huge amount in the next couple of seasons, it's not massive, and you have to try and be smart with it and try and pick players or recruit players where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck for. Sam Skinner is really important for me and for us, probably not just on the playing side, but on the leadership side. One of the really important parts for me this season has been to give ownership to the players more, to give them more of a voice, to let them lead more. And that's something we're really developing. And that's something I think Sam will be excellent at when he comes in. So I'd say it would probably take a couple of seasons, Barks, to find out exactly what you can, or to allow you to do what you want to do.
Okay. A couple of years you win the league then.
Well, the plan's next year, but a couple of years will do.
Mike, quick question from me, and you've been sort of talking more specifically about this weekend's game. You were very confident and enthusiastic about the South African team's inclusion from the very beginning. New experiences, squad coming through, etc. Over the course of the season, as opposed to just the last sort of playoffs. How's that worked out for you in terms of the squad adapting, getting excited? Is it something that you can see getting better and better, or is the evolution going to take a bit more time?
Yeah, it's a really unique challenge, I think, playing the South African teams, because they bring such different qualities to the table. Like we've been discussing about how you change your defensive system to play against a South African team compared to a Welsh team, for example. The sheer size of the South Africans, it's harder to spend time in the tackle because you've got such huge physical beasts up against you, where potentially against kind of European teams, it's easier to do that. So that kind of difference in strategy, like, it excites everyone, because you change things up. The different style of rugby that South African teams play, and I actually think the South African teams all play a different style of rugby. The Stormers are exciting, probably less set piece dominant. You've got the Bulls, who are talking about the physicality. The Lions, who are just a real test because of playing at altitude, but also the the quality of their offloading game as well, and the Sharks, the sheer size and set piece dominance that they try and impose on you. So like there's something for everyone there.
Mike, the season's obviously, it's long, it's intense, it's stressful. Like, what will you do in the summer now with a bit of time off? Is it a case of just stepping away from the game and relaxing, or can you not do that?
I would love to step away, thanks, for a couple of weeks and not think about anything. But that's not the reality of the job. I'm quickly realizing the recruitment windows are changing for the Premiership. So I believe they're allowed to speak to players from July, where previously they weren't allowed to speak until December. I don't think anyone listened to those rules anyway. But this is going to be a period where, you know, your best signings done around this kind of July window. Guys want to know what they're doing, and it's going to be really difficult because there's going to be a huge amount of luck involved in a lot of these signings, I think, because you just don't know where players are going to be in a year's time. At least you leave it 6 months, you get a better grasp of players, and you can do your due diligence. You know, you can do all the work behind the scenes, but you know, a year out from signing someone, it's difficult. So I'll have my head on that, and also planning for pre-season stuff. But I'm telling myself though that, you know, to delegate responsibility a little bit more on a few things, so I can try and get my head out of it, because I've had points through the season where it's become too much, and it means that I can't do the job as well as I can because you're spinning too many plates. So I want to be able to delegate things better going through the summer into next year.
You're like Marty Bird, you from Ozark, just stuff going on everywhere. Let your wife do some of the work.
Mike, are you going to bring in any new coaches, Mike? Because obviously it looks like you're taking charge of all the attack, and do you think that's a realistic goal for yourself to step back? I know I've been coached by you and played with you, and you're really hands-on. Do you think that's as a head coach, that's the next logical step, to try and step back?
It's the bit I love doing, though, Box.
Yeah.
Like I spoke to Gregor Townsend about this a few weeks ago, and he said, and I was saying, you know, God, there's so much going on, and he said, Mike, make sure though that you find time to do the bits that you want to do and that you enjoy doing, because that's why you're doing the job. You know, that I didn't take this job because I'm desperate to do recruitment or because I, you know, want to do other stuff. I've taken this job because it's given me an opportunity to be hands-on, do whatever I want with the players, move them in whatever direction I want, and that's why I'm doing it. So Gregor's advice is make sure whatever you do that you'd still doing the bits that you love doing and find time for that. Gareth Baber coming in at Christmas, he's been excellent from how would you describe it? You know, he helps organize programs and catching people one-to-one and doing their IPPs and all this side of things. And that's taken a huge amount of pressure off me. He works with the long-term injured players. He does the skills sessions. So that's been a huge help. And although I still probably drive the big picture attack stuff, I've been able to push bits Bab's way as well. So he's been great.
Brilliant. Well, look, I don't care what Bark says. I think you're a great guy, mate, and we wish you all the luck. I hope it's a great pre-season. I hope you build on the season you just had, and we look forward to watching you next season. Thank you for joining us.
Brilliant. Lovely finish, Shanks. Well done.
You're the best.
Cheers,
I just made it up. Right, we don't have Bob for too long now, boys. So we'll crack on with the South African games to start with. Stormers, Edinburgh, Bobby. A decent performance from Stormers, just a little bit too strong, really, for Edinburgh, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so. Look, there was an unfortunate yellow card for Edinburgh. Otherwise, I think the game would have been a lot tighter. I think Barks and I have got these sort of two opinions of the Stormers. You know, we both love the way they play, but they are a bit loose. They're a bit sort of fast and loose, and they were their own enemy our own worst enemy for a couple of minutes in the first half and a couple of minutes in the second half, where I thought, they're gonna give away an opportunity here. But they did have too much. They had, I think the outside backs are incredibly fast and incredibly talented and good finishers. And Evan Roos has been the big bullocking forward all season. The outside backs and Evan Roos scored the tries. So they sort of their trump cards came through for them in what was a tough match. I thought Edinburgh really battled or really came to the battle with a lot, and I thought they were much better than the two teams on paper would have possibly shown. So Stormers came through, but I think they deserve to be there. They've scored some great tries. They do throw a bit of caution to the wind. It makes me pretty nervous, but they're exciting to watch.
John, would you agree with that? I mean, it was a spirited performance by Edinburgh, and at 55 minutes when Henry Purgos scored, you thought, this is it now, the fight back's coming, but it didn't quite happen.
Yeah, I mean, we got to the Glasgow game. We watched this after the Glasgow game, so this felt like a proper game as opposed to that one. I agree with Bob. I think the Stormers they win games just with X factor. I don't think they necessarily are the most organised or the most structured or the cleanest team in terms of, like, you watch Leinster play. They're so organised and they make so little error. And I don't think the Stormers are like that. But what they do have is just ridiculously talented players. Evan Roos, Gallant, Labot. These guys, they've done it for the last 6, 7, 8, 9 weeks. Just create tries from nothing. So I don't know how much further they'll go. I actually think there will be Ulster the weekend, but I think they're probably the kind of the start of their journey, for want of a better word, under Dobson and the players they have. Certainly the squad they have and the X factor they have is outrageous. But yeah, I think Edinburgh will probably look back and they missed quite a few opportunities. But I think on the balance of play, the Stormers deserve to win.
Well, you did also say that Munster were going to beat Ulster, so that didn't really pan out.
You can't get them all right, Stevie.
No, you can't. And you want to get out that tunnel you're in there, Stevie.
Is it still echoey?
It's acceptable, just all right.
Okay.
Give us a couple of words, Stevie, on Roos at 8. Like, surely he has to start for South Africa in the summer.
No,
is that good?
No, not surely. No,
no?
Really?
No.
All right.
No.
Yeah.
Who else?
Thanks. Good question.
Well, let's see how he goes this weekend against Ulster, and if they make it through in the final. Like, I'm not sure that the level of Edinburgh's defence would be of international quality. So, like, there's no doubt in his ball carrying ability. He's so explosive, powerful in the contact. He likes to play loose and fast. And I think he'd be thereabouts. But I don't think he's a shoe-in to be a starter for the South African team. Bobby might disagree with me, but
I agree. I think he should be in the squad. I don't think he'll be starting straight away.
Yeah. So, but here, he's unbelievable talent. What are you laughing at, John?
Well.
I'm just laughing at Shanks' question.
Yeah, just got shot down.
Shanks, I would have.
I thought he's been one of the standout players in the South African teams. Like, just his carrying ability. Yeah, maybe defensively, maybe, but I think if you want someone to carry for you, which you do most games, to get on front foot, especially the way South Africa play, he's there. Bobby, I know we're short on time, but we'll give us the Bulls Sharks. Epic game, like close all the way through. Bulls started strong, Sharks came back, and at one stage we thought it was going to go to extra time. It didn't. But right team won, do you think, or could it have gone either way?
No, I think home match for the Bulls. This was Sharks all day long, and then this try came from nothing. It was a from a Sharks mistake. It was sort of a wraparound pass outside, and then it would have been a penalty try anyway, but Marosh Tambo scored it, and he's been going over sort of one-off runners for the last 5 years. No one's going to stop him there, but I think Cornel Hendricks sort of, for me, epitomized the Bulls are more organized. Maybe it's Jake White, maybe it's the slightly older players. But in the crunch moments of this game, the Bulls had more, and they deserved it. Lacanio he didn't have a great first half, but really came into it in the second half. Suddenly, that lovely little sort of shift of passes, offloads, the little chip and gather, that kind of thing. I think the Sharks are a year and some serious time together off being as good as they can be. But I think with the talent they've got, we will see them contesting in the future. But the Bulls, scrambled enough together to be the team to win there. And I think they're a good side, the Bulls. I think they could have played a lot better than they did. They let the Sharks, they had, was it a 14 or 13 point lead over the Sharks, and let the Sharks back into that game to be it was 14 points, exactly. And let them back in with those 2 late tries to become a sort of what was going to be a extra time game. And then the drop goal won it.
Yeah, I think neither team really got a grip of the game. I think the halfback struggled a fair bit. There was some great individual talent on show out there. But, I mean, Chris Smith.
I'm going to say I'll get castigated for it, but the South African teams we're not matching the amount of talent we've got with the clinical performance we've got. If you look at Leinster, they are. You got Afalele Fassi, 6'5", runs 110 dead. He hasn't got the ball in space from a set piece or even a second or third phase for the last 4 weeks. It's like, what are you doing? That's like digging a big hole and not using a digger loader. I mean, it's like you've got this like built for purpose machine in your backline and you haven't put him in space. So I can't understand that, but maybe that's going to be something we'll see in the future when they spend more time together. I know it's been a disjointed season for everybody.
How do you think, Bob, they're going to go on against Leinster in Ireland?
Well, I think Leinster away for the Bulls will be too much. I think they will go big and hard and physical. And try and wear them down. Could they do that for 80 minutes? I'm not sure that's enough. They'll have to score some tries as well, and they'll have to defend like their lives are counting on it. I think what we saw from Leinster on the weekend, if they turn up with even half of that, no one's going to beat them at home. But the Bulls, I think, we've said week in and week out, the big physical nature of the Bulls will be something that could maybe slow Leinster down a little bit.
Okay, and before you go, what about Stormers Ulster? Be careful now, because if you say the wrong answer, Fez will.
Well, no, but if I say the wrong answer, then I'm off the show. So you'll slag me off as soon as I go. So that's going to happen.
Well, will anyway, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I know. No, I genuinely think that this, again, I got in trouble for this, and you guys were standing next to me when I was speaking to McFarlane. But the Stormers at 10 out of 10 and Ulster at 10 out of 10 after the travel, I would say the Stormers are good enough by a point or 3, but Ulster are a seriously good side. They're defensively very good. They're a problematic side for me because if you don't keep them busy, they steal your ball. So they've got very good men in over the breakdown and over the ball, and the Stormers have been too loose in that area. They've given away the ball by having this sort of one-off runner stuff. So Stormers, on the front foot and organized and using their big finishing backs, I would say that at home they've probably got a more than even chance of winning, but Ulster can turn it on and beat them in Cape Town just as easily.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Bob, good luck wherever you're going now.
Appreciate it, fellas. Thank you very much. There's lots of excitement from the South Africans. They've realized they're in semi-final time, and URC rugby is getting exciting. So hopefully next season we see more of them at the games. And I look forward to chatting to you after this. Thank you for having me.
Brilliant. So glad you could do another half a show, mate. Nice one. We'll see you soon, okay?
Cheers, Bobby. See you Friday.
Bye, Bob.
Cheers, fellas.
Can never get him for a full hour, can you? Charges too much, I think. We'll move on to Ulster, Munster. I mean, it was one-way traffic near enough the whole way in that game, Stevie. How impressed were you with Ulster? Or were you disappointed with Munster? Mute yourself again. Unmute yourself again. Oh, he's having technical issues.
Hear me?
I got you now.
Yeah, I can hear
you. I'm having a shocker. Like it's not on mute. I don't know what's going on. You text me halfway through the game, well, into the second half, about Joey Carberry and Craig Casey, like not even playing a penalty advantage. Like,
yeah.
like they just threw the ball down and we're like, oh yeah, we'll kick to the corner and try and maul you over.
We
And
play.
like, yeah, it all started. Peter O'Mahony, first kickoff, knock on, and it just got worse and worse from there. Like it really, really did. I feel like Munster are struggling for an identity. The players look like they were on holiday. Like Dale Ende 6 weeks ago was unbelievable against Ulster, and he was like abysmal. Like he really was. Like, I don't know about what you lads think, but I think Ulster didn't really have to do too much to win the game. Like, of course, they were very clinical. They cut some nice lines, but they were given all that space and time by Munster. So, like it's back to the drawing board for Munster. For me, Dennis Leamy, of course, is down there now, leaving Leinster. Prendergast as well, coming over from France. So, they need to get the Munster identity back again because it's really been lacking the last number of months.
2 tries from set piece as well. They were really sharp offline out, like really slick. James Hughes, he keeps knocking on that door, doesn't he, for Ireland? I know he's had involvements, but he's not someone that you would automatically put in maybe 6 months ago, but maybe he's in that position now.
Shanks, I would have him starting at 13 for Ireland. I definitely would. And like, you can correct me if I'm wrong or add to this, but James Hume cuts lines. Like he hits hard lines. Gary Ringrose doesn't do that. Very rarely does he do it. He gets the ball in his hands. He gets into space. He comes on a switch or he sweeps right round the back of the rock. Always kind of breaks the gain line back on the inside. Where James Hume seems to be a better distributor. Gary Ringrose very rarely throws a 20-meter pass into space, into Balogun's hands, into Ethan McElroy's hands. Like, James Hume looks the full package. He really does. He's a lot of confidence.
He's a strike runner. He's definitely a strike runner. So someone that can hit that angle out wide and run through the ball as well. So he's not waiting for the ball before he starts going. He'll hit the angle no matter what. But I don't know if you saw it, his link play was so good. Like the way he breaks the line and then creates space on the inside, like has to pull the defender across. And by going lateral, it just opens up the hole. And you've got the Munster, 2 Munster players there don't know what to do. I really enjoy watching him.
Who would you play on the inside if he did get an opportunity to start against the All Blacks in the summer at 13? Who would you prefer to have a 12 if McCluskey obviously doesn't make it or he's not in the Bundyaki, Robbie Henshaw picture?
I'd probably go Bundyaki.
Yeah, so would I.
I think he's another good distributor. Like the way he took Wales apart for Ireland, just carrying the ball to the line and putting it behind was because he's such a big carrier. Defenders just hold for him. I know Henshaw is as well, but he just attracts defenders, and he's got a real good decision of run, kick, pass as well, and knows what to do in the right situation. So I'd probably play Bundyaki, and I think James Hume has to play. He's playing that well. There's only so many times you can play as well as that without not being noticed. John, what do you make of Munster? Just really sloppy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I back them, as you said earlier, but I back them purely because when they get to knockout rugbies in important games, they normally rock up and play pretty well. The games that matter, they rock up, and whether you've been impressed them through the season or not, or their style of play or their lack of DNA, which we've spoken about, that's the worst I've ever seen Munster play in a knockout game or a qualifying game. Like, got to the point where I was like, they got the ball and you're like, this will be dropped in one phase, definitely 2 phases, knock on, then penalty, and it just I don't think Ulster would have been that sore afterwards, which is what I always judge the game. Like, it wasn't that physical. The game didn't look that hard. They didn't have to work for almost anything, so it was just too easy for us. So for them, they were organised, they got the job done. They'll be delighted to get off that. But you look at this. I mean, I watched this back, and Dale Ende made a bad read, and then it's just jogging back, and it's the quarter-final league. Like, what, mentally, you can see it from this club here. In the middle of, there's zero urgency. There's just no desire to get, which is just so uncharacteristic for Munster in these games. Normally you'd associate them with just being so desperate to succeed. So, I was really disappointed with Munster. We look back to probably 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they put in some nice performances, but Yeah. I mean, it's just they're obviously in a part of their evolution, and they're not quite the finished product yet. And new coaches coming in, and what will we see from that? I don't know.
James Hume, Steve, we just spoke about. What about Robert Balakoon? Another one that seems to be peaking at the right times in terms of putting his hand up for maybe a test spot.
Yeah, just before that line break that he made there for the try. I can't remember who scored it. The try. He made an unbelievable defensive read and come up and in.
Stuart Moore,
Stuart Moore. Sorry, he come up and in, and a couple of minutes later, this is it. Like, their numbers down. I think actually Peter O'Mahony probably takes too much out of that ball. Like, he just needs to get the ball and pass, and then they go up the other end of the pitch. They win a turnover, and off the resulting turnover, Stuart Moore gets over for the try. So, yeah, Balakoon, as we all know, lads, he's got so much pace. We talk about, our Bobby was talking about a Feli Fassi of, the fullback for the Stormers, for the Sharks. Like, if he gets the ball in space, he's going to cause serious damage. But Ulster get the ball to him, and Dan McFarland after the game was like, oh, Dan, did you, go away from the maul mindset of, getting the ball off the top? And he was like, well, we've got all these unbelievable players who are really pacey, got a really good skill set. Why shouldn't we get the ball into their hands as much as possible? And I was like, oh, it's fair enough then. So, yeah, I'm expecting pretty much to see him. I disagree with Bob. I think Ulster are going to beat the Stormers this weekend. Travel or not, I just think they're a better coach team. I think defensively they're better, and they'll kick the ball off the pitch an awful lot. They changed the tactics against them when they played them, 3 months ago. It was 17-3 after 20 minutes or 15 minutes. And they were like, well, hold on a second. We can't just keep kicking the ball down their throat. And they changed their tactics during the game, made it very slow, pragmatic, boring at times to watch, won penalties, closed them down. And before they knew it, they scored a try in the last minute to win it. And unfortunately, it was chalked off. So, I fancy them this weekend, Shanks.
I think that's going to be the game of the weekend. I think Leinster will be too strong for the Bulls. Anyway, let's talk about this, John. I'm sorry, we have to.
Yes.
You don't have to apologise to me, Shanks. I've got nothing to do with them.
Is it as bad as Benetton Cardiff?
It's, I think, arguably worse. And I said that's the worst.
You called that game spineless. What would you call this game?
Oh, love it, Shanks.
What's worse than spineless?
Equally abject. It was like we were doing
jellyfish,
and it was like we honestly could. It was like what? There's no point even talking about the game. It was getting to the point where we were chatting about the summer tours. What we're going to do in the evening. There was just pointless. Yeah, what's for dinner? Favorite.
It was hard to commentate on, John, wasn't it? It was really difficult. Really difficult.
It was like there was just no structure. It was like it got to the point that it was just kick off, run the length of the pitch, score, try. And we know Danny's obviously been sacked off the back of that.
Knee-jerk reaction.
So I put a tweet and I got a bit of stick for it. But the reason I said it was premature was because there's a general sense of like, and I said the ire of the fans, because there's a lot of stuff in the background regarding lack of facilities or lack of development of facilities at Scotstoun, lack of a clubhouse. They've moved away from Friday night games, so the fans are pissed off about that. Players leaving, they're not happy about that. All this is going on. Ticket prices have gone up for next year, so it was a kind of perfect storm of everyone's a bit pissed off at Glasgow from their own fans' point of view, and then you put in a performance like that, and it's just too much to tolerate. So I look at Danny as someone that coached me, and I do think he is a really good coach. I look at the coaches that were around him, young coaches that were brought in. Peter Murchie, first job, he's defence coach at Glasgow. You're like, well, how much support is Danny getting there? All the players leaving. So I just think for him, I think I would have given him another year at least to show his worth. But ultimately, it's a business, isn't it? So I can see kind of why they did it. But and maybe my views are tinted because I've got a good relationship with Danny, and I always gone with him well as a coach. I thought it was a bit harsh. But after a performance like that, I mean, it's.
But like a performance like that, I can actually understand it. And I read a statement put out by Glasgow about the season tickets, John, leading into the game. Like Big Al Kellock had come out and said, they're everything for the next few years, and we're really sorry about putting the season tickets up, but by the way, you'll get a free warm-up game added in and all this. And it was like the sacking of Danny Wilson. Then was like, we're not taking any prisoners. We need to get bums on seats for next year. We're going to bring in a big coach, somebody like, I don't know what. Shanks, have you had any dealings with Dean Richards?
No, I've spoken to him on Premier Sport a few times, but
so he's out at Newcastle. He left this season, and yeah, somebody like him to come in as like do you reckon they need like a director of rugby, to bring them on?
That's what I think. That's the other problem. Is this? I don't think Glasgow are going to be Leinster, and they shouldn't on paper. Away from home, the squad they've got, injuries they've got. But like, there's no budget there, so then spend it. A DOR was going to be expensive, and then you've still got to employ a head coach. So I do wonder whether this was done a couple of weeks ago, given the speed at which it happened, and they just let's jump on the back of this now and sack Danny. I hope in a way they've got someone lined up, because otherwise you're scrambling for a coach. You don't have a good one.
John, do you know Alistair Dickinson?
Yeah, Dicko, yeah, I know him well, yeah.
Would he be somebody that could step into the forwards role?
I don't know. He's quiet, Dicko. Very technical, and I've actually not spent any time with him or chatted to him since he's become a coach. Around about like his ambitions of, do I want to be more of an assistant, more of a hands-on role?
Yeah.
I think for me, if they're going to do something, they need to bring in two big names. They obviously, I think, bring in a couple of big names of quality in the coaching staff, and I also think they need to do that in the playing staff, because they do.
Sean Holly will chuck his name into the hat. Always does.
Does he?
Yeah.
Matt Williams.
We have to go back.
Best you said, Steve.
Matt, if you're watching, you're a top lad.
Yeah, he'd be welcome back with open arms to Scotland, I'm sure.
Jordan Lama, boys, weekend had a field day, absolute field day. It was like he's playing against kids.
Yeah, well,
he was sharp. He was good on his feet. The holes just opened up for him. There were so many wrong decisions, especially out wide by Glasgow. Players rushing in, players taking wrong men, players not drifting. It was just a catalogue of errors. And you got Leinster when they were right up for it as well. They obviously would have been hurting, I think, a little bit from the European Cup final. And you could see that with the selection they made. They had a real strong bench, real strong team come in. A lot of these players probably haven't played too much in the URC all season, but they want to win some sort of silverware now. And you can just see, like, there's no way there should be cover across there, no matter what. There should be players coming back. That's just a want. That's just a hunger for Leinster to score and get on the end of tries, rather than Glasgow, wanting to come back and cover. And a little bit of cover there, but easy.
Embarrassing, Shanks.
Yeah, it is a little bit. Just you're 76-14 away from getting a sack. That's what we've taken from.
Yeah. Well, that's what I said. I know, and you can look at the fixture list and stuff, or however you want to look at it, whichever lens you're looking at through. But Glasgow were, we were impressed at the start of the season. They were third in the league, mid-April, and then 6 weeks later, you're getting sacked. From third in the league to being sacked. Doesn't make you think there's some other coaches in the league that are probably doing well to hold on to their jobs, but
yeah. I'll tell you what makes a big difference, boys, is now where you massively where you finish in the league in the top 8 as to where you get your draws for quarterfinals and semi-finals, because it is difficult going across to South Africa, in a short week to come back again. It makes a huge difference, and I think teams will probably look at that a little bit more next season, thinking home advantage is so key in these knockout stages. Right, we'll move on to the URC Dream Team. Did you boys have any say in this? We shall get it up now. A lot of South Africans.
A lot of South Africans.
A lot of South Africans. Some strange calls in there.
Rue's in there. Stevie, he has to have man of the match against Ulster next week. If he gets that, he's a shoe-in for South Africa.
He already is, Shaq. I wouldn't ask any question.
I was chatting to Mark Robson before, obviously at the game, Munster game, and he was going through a lot of the stats for Marcel Coetzee, and I wonder, like, he is just been ridiculous, like, for the last few months. But even just as John, as you know, a bit of a swap from number 8 to number 6, like, he maybe has a little bit more freedom to stay in the wider channels, to get his hands on the ball. It's probably coming to him a little bit more, where at Ulster he was number 8 or he didn't play, like, and there was so much responsibility at him at the base of the scrum, and then, like, he would pick a lot from the base of the scrum, and then you wouldn't see him for 4 or 5 phases because there would generally be a mistake or a penalty or a turnover. So yeah, I think just the change in position, and Arno Botha and Early Low as well in the back row for the Bulls, like, Marcel Coetzee definitely deserves to be in there. Jean Klein, I'm not sure about that.
No. Gentune, obviously one that does. I think Zas has had a really good season. He's really impressed me all the way through. I mean, a lot of South Africans have. Coetzee was brilliant at the weekend, but there's not a great deal of Irish, Scottish, Welsh.
When you consider the table, you think
there's going to be no Welsh anyway, is there, really?
I don't want to say it. You think there might be some more Irish in there, though, potentially.
Yeah.
I think maybe what's counting against them, particularly Leinster, is they don't play week in, week out, a lot of the guys. So maybe they're not seen as much. Certainly, you think there's no in the whole team. I would add Caelan. It's hard to bring Caelan, though. I think Timoney's been brilliant.
Maloney in the second row for Leinster. Like, he's played a lot of games.
I'm trying to think. It's hard.
I think Maloney.
The halfbacks. I'm sure some halfbacks have played better than those two. I don't want to pick them out, but Ross Burton was good at the weekend, but hasn't played that much either. So
I think Kinghorn's been excellent all season.
I agree.
Really impressed with them. Yeah. Right. So that is the dream team that we've picked apart. Rhys Webb, probably another one, possibly could have been in there. He's had quite a few man of the matches and been good for the Ospreys, even though hasn't been the greatest season for Wales. Rants. Do we have any rants of the week?
No, I'm not ranting this week because
refs were good at the weekend. There's the positive. Refs were good, I thought. Got most of the big decisions right. No controversy. Nothing was really missed unless I'm forgetting something. So happy.
I actually do have a rant. So John, you get shot on by a seagull, did you?
Oh yeah, that was my rant. Yeah, that was it. I forgot about that.
So you get shot on by a seagull, and then I went home and jumped in the car to go out the next day and pulled out my lovely coat that I was wearing, and I had a big shot mark on my coat. So I must have got shot on as well at some stage.
This thing has landed on. It was like a cow pat on my head. And
on your head?
On my head, and Bobby's talking, so I'm like, no one's noticed. And I was like, you see on the other camera, and I'm wiping, it's like green and yellow, and I'm wiping it on my jacket. And then I got to the end of the game, it was like crusted. Yes, my rants against bloody seagulls.
Yeah.
Airport control, traffic control staff. I got around. I was delayed.
What music's on in the background, Shanks?
I don't know. I'm at Cardiff City Stadium.
Don't turn it off.
Wales versus Netherlands, which is the UEFA Nations League, which is actually on Premier Sport, believe it or not. So I'm not sure this game is, but the league is. Yeah, they've turned it off now, I think, Stevie, so we're all right. Right, so rants of the week. We've done presenter's choice. Flying through these now. As if by magic, that is going to come up right now. Teammate who never gave up. Once, Wendell Saylor scored a length of the try pitch against us, against Wales. He literally got the ball on his own line and scored length of the field. And Martin Williams chased him all the way, so he couldn't go into the posts. He forced him out. He forced him out to the corner. And Steve Hansen, who was a coach of Wales, made this massive thing saying, "Look at this guy. He never gave up. He never gave up." He forced Wendell Saylor to the touchline. They still got the kick, but
And Martin Williams gets subbed off.
it was made a little bit harder. What were the other options?
Number two in the ensuite.
Yeah, no comment. I'll get in trouble for this when this is.
Well, you have 5 ensuites, John, so you can take
We
your
don't.
pick.
No, we don't.
Okay.
Give
us a teammate, boys, then. A teammate who never gave up. Come on, someone who.
Oh, Rory Best.
Yeah.
Yeah, the most one-paced man you'll ever meet.
Just run for days, though.
But he could run at that one pace for an eternity.
Yeah. Yeah.
We've lost signal, boys.
Not the most glamorous of players, but it's one player in the Glasgow team I felt sorry for was Rob Harley. Just not the most talented player, but he would never stop.
Yeah.
Never stop, counter-ruck, do all the stuff that you get no credit for. Total pain in the arse. So as you can see, he's had nothing, like I was saying, he's gone. Bored.
Yeah. He didn't like it. There we are. Well, he's had issues all week, really, hasn't he? Well, all day with sound. We got Dolly. Bulls win. Hope you're all ready for that result. God, that would be a shock, wouldn't it? If the Bulls win.
I don't know. I think Leinster will win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Bulls pulled it off. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Paradox that.
Contradiction. Bulls pulled off Leinster. I get you. I'm with you. And how do you see the other one going, John? Stormers Ulster.
Yeah, no, it's Stormers.
I think it will be a great game.
I think it'll be close, and I think it's going to be a contrasted style. I think Ulster are going to go play super structured, direct, maul, kick, and I still think the Stormers have got a bit too much X factor for Ulster.
Yeah, I agree. Do you know what I think as well? I don't think Leinster would have learned a lot. It's not a great game to have before a big game because it was just too easy. And you're not tested that much. It's good for confidence, but it's easy.
I think that game for me, if I was in their position, was all about just not still thinking about La Rochelle. So they definitely did that. They didn't learn anything about about themselves, but they'll just think, well, right, we're in pretty good condition, we're pretty fresh, and we'll go into this game on Friday, which I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, you can watch them live on Premier Sport, and that will do us for today, John. We've had Bobby half a show, Stevie Ferris 3/4 of a show. Glad you could join me all the way through this. We shall see you next week for another episode of URC Unloaded. Subscribe, watch, enjoy. And it's going to be a couple of really good semi-finals next week, this weekend even.
See you, mate.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.